Well, hello there. I hope everything's been going well for you. I was thinking earlier today, I wonder how many times information comes through that we discredit or ignore or consider it to be ego instead of what really is being sent through us in a spiritual way. How many times do our spirit guides bring us information? Or maybe our higher selves is trying to communicate something important, or just a regular spirit from around us that wants to communicate with us. How many times does information come to us during the day that we totally are oblivious to? Sometimes we'll say, okay, just the ego, that's just my ego. That's just, my imagination is running away with me. Or did I really hear that? Nah, couldn't have been. Just, I got to get back to my work. Uh, and, it's important to know when those times are there. It's important to recognize what really is ego, what really is our imagination, and what really is information from spirit. They talk about babies having the veil. And to me, to have the veil means to be clouded or not aware of what's really going on. So we try to lift the veil to see clearly. And that would be to see through our spiritual eyes or to perceive through our spiritual eyes. So maybe during the day when we're really busy, we've got a lot of work to do, we've got things on our minds, uh, we let our family and our friends and our relatives kind of dictate what goes on in our lives. Maybe that's the veil. Maybe that's, I'm just pulling the veil over and I'm just kind of hiding from things and just living in the third dimension and not really seeing life as it is. Well, when we try to hide that way, we're hiding from ourselves, and that is our true selves. We're hiding from spirit, our own spirit, because our spirit is what opens up to accept what's being brought to us in many different ways. So there's a lot of different ways that outside spirit can communicate with us as inside spirit. So let's think about that for a minute. How many times are we just really ignoring what's coming in? I quite often talk about downloads, like there's just this great big huge hunk of information that's downloaded to us, and it takes maybe hours, days, sometimes weeks to kind of sift through all of that and let it all come up into the consciousness. I have a suspicion that maybe it's downloaded like that because we've been turned off or ignoring or pulled the veil over our spirit eyes so that we weren't watching or being aware of what's going on. So we've ignored stuff for so long that the only way spirit has to get it to us is to give us this big download. How frustrating that is. I mean, just by getting downloads in consultations, I've noticed that there's a lot of information that I'm nodding my head and I'm seeing stuff and I've got this funny look on my face and my client will say, what? I said, okay, just a minute. Let me kind of sift through this. I've got the gist of what it is, but to bring it to words and an understanding for you is going to take a minute. So, quite often we're doing that with our own lives. I've said before, the most important reason for you to be connected with your spirit guides and to be open to your spirit self and the wisdom that comes from spirit is for you to maneuver through this world in the best possible way. It's for you. And after you get expert at dealing with it for yourself, then you may open up to working with other people. You may intuitively work as a consultant for businesses or for different groups. You may work in healing capacities in different ways with your abilities, but it is for you. This is why you're developing. So if you're going to walk around all day with a veil on, and um, if if you think about the olden days, I guess that's relative, but I remember my grandmother wearing her church hats, and they would fit, kind of tight on the head, and then there'd just be this little veil according to whatever color that hat was. That's what color the veil was, and it would usually come down around here. Um, I've seen back in the movies from the 30s and 40s where the veils would come down like this, and we have veils on wedding dresses, that they come way down and they cover a lot. So you can't really see fully, and you can't see well. You think you can see different pieces and bits, but the whole vision is not there. So you pull the veil up and you go, oh yeah, okay, here I am. I can walk now. I can do this. I can reach for that. I can read out of this book. But so there were reasons for wearing veils on hats. It was so that we could be disguised in some way, or we could retreat and still be in public, but not be available, so to speak. So that proverbial spirit veil means we're not available to spirit. Okay, we're walking around with that veil on and not available, not available. It's like I talk to the hand, talk to the hand. And the hand doesn't bring in information that comes this way, So it's time to pull that veil up. And of course, you can close it down and you can put the veil on when you need to. But if you're actively developing or unfolding your gifts, you want to be available as much as possible. And of course, have that conversation with your guiding forces and say, I'm not expecting to be in other people's business during the day, but I am open to information that I may need to do my work, to be safe during the day. If there's inspirational things that can come through to help me, if there's a grand idea that I should be aware of, you want to be aware of those things when you need them. So what can we do besides just intentionally saying I'm going to pull my veil back? Well, pay attention to what comes in. Be available when those odd thoughts pop into your head. Of course, I'm going to say this again. A lot of what I say to you is over and over again in different ways, but keep track of these bits of information. If you need to carry a little notebook around with you, or if you're using an iPod or the iPhone, or you're carrying these electronic devices around, there's a way of writing notes. So start keeping track. You can just keep little short bits of information that will spark your memory. Oh yeah, I did get that at 10 o'clock this morning. I need to think about that a little bit more. But it's a way of detecting what's coming in at odd times during the day. Is it your ego? And you go, oh yeah, well that piece of information, that totally was ego because I wanted that and I wanted to make sure that that was going to happen. So I know that was ego, that wasn't spirit. And you can tell if it's a lower energy or vibration or lower entity, because it will be harmful information. It will be something that tries to get you into a fear mode or an anger mode. That happens a lot during the day. especially now with the changing climate of our social lives, social activities in the world. Um, that fear-based energy and that anger energy is so prevalent, and it's so easy to get caught up in it. Now, when you get up in the morning, make sure you put your protection on. Do whatever you do to keep your shield up, not your veil. Don't pull that veil down to protect you, but keep your shield up, or keep a protective energy field of some kind. You have your own little thing that how you do it, and it should only take that long for you to do it. So do that every day. But you're going to get bits and pieces, and sometimes the more your ego will talk to you, then that lowers your energy, and when your energy is lowered, then those heavier entities will come in and play around with you, and you need to know and recognize when that's happening. So be much more aware in the next week. And I'm just going to say for a week because I want you to get used to keeping track and writing it down, or texting it down. You may want to send yourself texts, or if you're on Facebook a lot, send yourself a message on the message board. That's what I do when there's a recipe that comes in, or a video that I want to keep. I don't put it on my homepage. I send myself a message on, a private message, and then it just always stays there under my name. So, type out your hits during the day, whatever's coming in. The more you do that, the more you'll be aware that it's coming in. And it might be like 10 different things during the day, and 8 of them will be, oh, did you see what she was wearing? She looks really ridiculous in that, or who does she think she is, or why did that idiot pull out in front of me? That kind of stuff does come through, and you're thinking, Spirit's leading this. I'm getting information from Spirit, and it's not. It's not. It's your ego. It's that anger energy. And the more you connect to that anger energy, the more comes in. And you don't want that. You really don't want that. Sometimes I get so caught up in that anger energy, I'll be walking through the house just fuming and stomping and carrying on, and I get drawn into it, and it almost feels good that I'm angry, you know. And then I gotta stop and think, oh my gosh, I could have had a V8. I could have been thinking good stuff all this time, but I allowed that heavy anger energy to connect. And I don't like that. After I step back and look at it, that's not the kind of person I want to be. And that's not the kind of person you know me to be, but that's kind of what happens sometimes when I allow that to manifest. So the more you are aware of all these different hits of information, all these bits and pieces that come in, and you think Spirit's telling you what to put on today, or your spirit guides don't tell you what to wear. That's your own decision. They're here to guide you and to bring uplifting information to assist you in developing who you are. If you're going to ask them, do I look better in red or do I look better in green? Which color is going to be a high energy for me today? Or what color do I need for healing today? Then pay attention. But Spirit's not just going to openly say, well, wear this blue shirt today because you look so cute in it. They're not going to just offer you information. You ask, what colors are good for me today? Not what outfit should I wear. So I guess the lesson for today is pay attention to what's coming through. Jot it down. And don't just put it on little bits of pieces of paper like I do. I have like a million pieces of paper because I try to recycle everything that doesn't have writing on the other side. And instead, I do my best sometimes I actually have an opportunity to buy a little thing like this. I have like a little book that I jot stuff down in, and you can tell, oh my gosh, I write some wild notes, but it's all in this little thing. You see, it's all right here. So if you got a little thing like that, and just stick it in the pocket of your purse or your bag that you carry. I have a friend that some of you may know. She has these little bitty ones like this, and she writes so little teeny tiny, but she keeps immaculate notes. So do that, or if you have an iPhone and you send yourself a message every time you get a hit during the day. You don't even have to look at all of them at the end of the day. Wait till the end of the week. And then just start going through them and go, oh, that was just ego. Oh, that was anger energy. Oh, that was something I was supposed to pay attention to. My guides were giving me that information, and I ignored it. So you become much more aware of what it feels like when the good information comes through, the assisted information, the uplifting information. You get more connected with what your guides feel like, and what your ego feels like, and what lower entities feel like. And these are all good things to know. They're all good things to know, because you may be in a situation away from home where it's a little uncomfortable, or you're unsure of where you're at, and you need some quick information. Now, we covered a little bit of this a long time ago in the Doorway to Spirit Guides, your spirit guides. If you want to get connected real quick, you put your 2 fingers and your thumb together and say, this is instant connection. I need an answer to something real quick, spirit guides. Here I am. We're connecting right this moment for a instant connection. Ask your question, answer comes, and then you go, pew, disconnected again. So use those little tips. And when you're in that situation and you need to know, am I supposed to be here? Should I just leave? I need to know what's going on here. Is it good vibrations? Is something doesn't feel right? Instantly, I need to be connected to my guides, and let me know if I should leave. And you'll get information. Sometimes it's not important what's going on, but the fact that you should leave. That's what's important, to know that you should leave. All right, I'm going to cut this off right now. Pay attention. I do have a 5-second focusing exercise in your packet, so pay attention to that. Look at your guided meditation and just be aware and keep track of what's being brought to you during the week. Blessings.